Hello. Welcome to Shamrock Talk, the internet's #1 Mother-Son Celtics podcast. I'm your host, Jake Olin, here once again with my mother, Karen Olin.
Hello.
We're back, Natick, Massachusetts, Shamrock Talk Studios, in person once again, recording this the early afternoon of Thursday, November 7th. Monday after our goal of Wednesdays because somebody was at the game last night. Lots to talk about.
Fun game.
But a few more to get to. Since we last spoke, Celtics are 3-2, 7-2 overall. First in the Atlantic Division, second in the Eastern Conference, and fifth in the NBA this very young season. So let's get right into it. I think the night after we recorded last time, Celtics take their first loss in overtime in Indiana against the Pacers, 135-132. Overcame 24-point deficit to tie it, bring it to overtime, but then little Pascal Siakam dagger kind of sealed the game at the end there. What'd you think? Think back to that one.
I think that we obviously came up quite a few games where the defense wasn't very good. And I think this was one of the first games that I thought the defense was better, as well as, they were shooting lights out in the beginning of the game. They
happens.
Did very well.
Like this that plays,
and we certainly did not shoot lights out.
I think that was the difference, way to come back. I still think, last year I think this team answered a lot of questions about late game execution, but, over time I still think there's some questions there about how we execute plays at the end of games, and at least offensively.
And this was the game Keita came in, right? That I thought his minutes made a huge
minutes,
but they were important minutes. Correct, I think this was his kind of breakout.
Which we'll get to later.
I think his time, and then Peyton Pritchard obviously came on. He had a few. It was like third period at some point, and fourth period. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Can't remember the exact timing, but I think those two made a lot of difference in the game, and I think they were really turned it around for us for a while there. Little spark plugs.
Weird minute breakdown. Horford only played 19 minutes. That's what gets Keita. Cornette 14 and 16 minutes. 39 minutes for Pritchard. He was second most on the team behind Tatum. So
I just think they were going up the middle too easily. Not only were they making their 3-point shots at times, but they were just in the lane. And I don't think Horford, and they moved the ball very, very well. And I don't think Horford or Cornette handled it very well for a while there. Our whole team, but those two in particular. Mm-hmm. And then I think when Keita came in, that little stint, it was a little spark plug, and Pritchard was in there, and it sort of fired us up.
30 for Mathurin off the bench for them.
He was really good.
Yeah, and he was hurt all that. They've been in the Eastern Conference Finals without him last year. He was hurt,
really
so
good.
He could be a big addition if he can. He was good for them as a rookie. I think he was a rookie last year. Pretty sure.
And Pascal was really the.
Yeah,
he was. I've never seen him play that well. Yeah. In the recent years, I think he just was really, really good everywhere.
Yeah, his little mini Giannis impersonation.
He was 75% at 3.
Yeah, that's just unheard of. Yeah.
6 for 8.
No Miles Turner either.
They weren't tall. I think that was, and I kept that's the game that I was texting. Why are the small people coming up? Mathurin, and who else? Somebody else kept coming up the middle. TJ McConnell obviously did really well. When he was playing. Yeah, maybe it was just Mathurin. I don't know. But he's not very tall.
No.
And he seemed to score at will up the middle on us. So it was annoying. And I think that somewhat stopped when Keita came in, and he sort of owned the paint for a while there. And that really was, then we started hitting some shots. But I do think our defensive aggressiveness went up as soon as Keita came in. It was a very different team, and we were just I think we just expected we were going to offensively win and didn't have that defensive.
33% from three is not where we're usually at least this season. And so especially at the beginning, kind of buried us. And couldn't get it done in overtime.
Yeah, and they were 39. So
yeah, no, I mean it's not like
well, and they fell off.
Correct.
During that time, we were catching up.
How it came up. They had a surge at the beginning. We surged at the end.
Yeah,
tied, and then just couldn't finish it out.
And again, I think that's one of the biggest complaints in the media, as well as, Tatum shot 18 threes. And granted, part of those were trying to catch up when we were behind. Sure. So, you take a little bit of that, but he shot at 27%. And then 1 for 11, Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
I mean, 9%. So, the two stars were obviously abysmal at three, but took a lot of threes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of the crazy,
it's hard. I mean, and to be tied with them shooting like that is pretty good. But first loss of the year.
And they moved the ball well. They're a good team. I mean,
Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Yeah.
I think they're 4-4 now on the season. So, but the East is just terrible. So we'll get to that later. All right, we can move on to the Hornets doubleheader. We can go game by game, but I'm sure we'll kind of intertwine both on the back-to-back. First one. In Charlotte, Celtics 124, Hornets 109. The Grant Williams game incident at the end there. He was ejected for hitting Tatum.
A little football play there.
Yeah, a little hip check. Which I mean, in the grand, if they weren't former teammates, I don't think no one would even.
Well, it was kind of his second or third.
That's just how he plays, though. He's just
weird, sort of
clumsy.
Yeah,
and has a little bit of an attitude.
Yeah,
and that's just kind of the guy.
Well, and I will say, Jaylen Brown was going at him when he was guarding Jaylen Brown. They were very physical at each other, and you know how Jaylen is when he goes in. So he was pounding on Grant a few times there. So there might have been a little,
Sure.
A little more adrenaline than should have been.
No, I definitely think Grant Williams.
And this was a close game.
The Celtics.
Almost all the way. I mean, the final score does not reflect the whole game.
It was,
They stayed with them. There was.
We went up big in the first quarter, and then they stormed back.
Yeah. So it was a closer game than it should have been. And this was the one where, I mean, I don't know if it's coaching or Alonzo Ball, Alonzo, right? LaMelo, sorry, I always mixed them up. He just wasn't being smart. He kept guarding Jaylen Brown.
He fouled out of both games.
Yeah.
Both games he fouled out.
You can't because you're the star and you're the one that's going to score in the end, and now you're gone and now you have the hopes. And that's when we really went ahead once he fouled out. And it was like, what are you doing?
But it's the worst.
And why isn't your coach taking you off the front after you get that many?
Yeah, but the worst part is it's not even like players foul out when they're being hunted and they're trying to search for the matchup.
Nobody was hunting. He sought the matchup.
Foul after dumb foul.
He sought the matchup.
Aggressive,
yes.
A little tap. He taps him on the arm. Stupid foul.
Yes. Especially the last couple. It just was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there was one under the hoop that he was just being aggressive and he ended up getting his fifth. It was silly. And he's not a newbie. He's not that old, but he's not a newbie. He's been playing for a while. I mean, he should be smarter than this. Yeah.
I mean, it's been a long time injured, but that's just dumb.
Yeah.
But scored 31 points in 31 minutes.
I mean, he's a good player.
Yeah.
He's really good. More mental lapses than anything. But this team was better than I thought they were going to be. I thought Cody Martin, watching them over to, I'm not saying they're Celtics level, but they're better than I thought they would be. And we'll get to the next game.
Yeah, we can just get to that now. Back to back, 113, 103 in the second.
This wasn't as close in my mind. I mean, I don't think this was as.
This one was close too. They stormed back, and it was kind of, you always knew we were going to pull it through. Yeah. But they had some surges, and it was close going into the fourth even.
And part of the problem was, once again, we were, Jaylen Brown. Was the first.
This was his first game out.
And this was still the abysmal. I mean, Jason Tatum was 1 for 9 at 3.
Yeah.
Other than Peyton Pritchard.
From 3,
other than Peyton Pritchard, who really made a difference in that game. It was, not a good
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, not much to say about this one. Kind of, these two games felt very similar in vibe. Like we said, LaMelo fouls out of both games on very stupid fouls.
Yeah.
31 and 36 points in both.
Not a very strong leader, and he's really one of the only leader type. You know what I mean? Like that's higher quality.
It's tough because I was saying during the game, it would be interesting if he had played on if he was playing on a team that had other guys, playoff aspirations.
Yeah.
And he's never played in the playoffs. Never been close to the playoffs. So it's just this kind of 82 games of no intensity attitude that just is
he's having fun. He looks like he's having fun all the time.
There's never any buckle down and game time kind of vibe.
And like I said, their team was better than I thought it would be.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah,
I really thought
is good and off the bench and they can score. And,
I didn't think they were.
They still need at least two guys at the top before they're anything interesting. But
yes. But they weren't as bad as I thought they would be.
Yeah,
I will give them that.
Agreed, they played hard.
Yeah.
But we'll see how the rest of the season goes for them. We could see them again, and they could be even more checked out than they already are if things go south. So we'll see on the old Hornets. All right, well, we can get to the Hawks.
That was what I was referring to, really.
Yeah, talk about a team that
actually made the Hornets look better than they were. I'm not sure what's
go into Atlanta and just
no Jalen.
123-93, and like we said about the Hornets, where some of the scores were actually made it seem bigger than it was. We won by 30, and I don't think it was
close.
That even makes it look good. Oh my goodness, this was bad.
I didn't think Capella was good. No. I didn't think. There's so many. Trey was
terrible,
non-existent.
He was so bad,
non-existent.
He was so bad. But the worst part about him is, you can be bad and disappear. It's if you're gonna be bad and the ball's in your hands constantly, it's oof. It just looks even worse than it is. And
23 minutes. He only shot 10 times, so it's not like it's
but just a couple of those, he's dribbling the whole shot clock and then chucks up a shot, and you're like, oh, it's and then they score immediately on him on the other end, and you're like, oh boy, just really a lot.
He just looked wimpy for some reason. I don't know if maybe an injury, nagging injury or something, but he did.
He got pulled with an injury late in the game. I think they said a sprained wrist or something.
Yeah.
But,
he just didn't look good.
Well, the issue he
was a minus 28 for them.
The issue I've always had with him is he's such a defensive liability, and he really can't play off the ball. That he has to be so spectacular with the ball to make up with that he is sometimes, but he can't. It's just such a minus, and there's other aspects that it's hard to make up for that on the offensive end.
Agreed. And Clint Capella, probably one of the worst games I've ever seen him play. And not that he's ever a superstar, but he just was again
I don't even remember him being in this game.
Yeah, honestly, non-existent. And he's
he did.
Decent big guy. He's
him and Trae Young pick and roll, look at the lob.
But
that's always
again,
there.
He was non-existent.
Reece Shea, first overall pick. First look at him, a couple kind of reverse layups that were okay, but not too impressed with him in the first.
Oh, he starts.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he started.
He started
again, I now that I look at his profile, I can see, but I didn't. Nothing too outstanding.
No, he had a couple buckets. He got blocked. I think Derek White blocked him once.
Yeah.
No, definitely very raw. Not an immediate impact guy.
I'd say worst team we've played thus far. They're my pick.
Yeah.
At least worst game for the opposing team.
Sure. They looked
they were not good.
Trying to think if we had any real stinkers at the beginning of the year. Wizards were up there.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
We did play the Wizards.
Right there with the Wizards. Right there,
but not good. The Hawks, the Wizards you at least expected. The Hawks my expectations were a little higher.
I expected a little bit more.
I didn't realize they said before the game they swept us at home last year. They were 2-0 against us.
Oh, were they?
Atlanta. I just don't remember that. I don't remember that happening at all. But
yeah. Were we missing people, perhaps?
Maybe
maybe it was
I remember reading.
Maybe it was a no Tatum game or something. Sure. I don't know, but yeah. Well, they certainly will not be sweeping us this year if they're playing this way. It was rough.
All right, well, let's get to last night. Definitely the most fun game of the week.
It was fun.
You were at the game. In person, in the Garden, Celtics fall to the Warriors 112-118. How was the crowd? How was the game?
Very energetic in the beginning.
Yeah.
And then kind of as the game went on, it was...
Yeah.
I mean, very rarely were we in control as the game went on. I don't know. It felt like a little bit of a playing catch-up most of the time. Just trying to catch up. I don't know.
I mean, we took a lead in early fourth quarter.
Yes, but I just mean the whole kind of tone of the game was a weird tone. Like we were talking earlier, I thought they came out outstanding. I mean, I think they looked for who they have.
Shocked. Yeah.
And their roster.
Yeah.
I thought that very well coached.
Yeah.
Defense was very good. They know us.
Yeah.
They knew exactly where to double team, and it wasn't just Tatum. It was Pritchard. They were all over the top of the key there. Mm-hmm. The top of the 3-point. It was double team, and they rotated extremely well.
Yeah.
Their defense was very, very good.
And as soon as they got us to miss, they were off and running the other way. And so many fast break points. Yeah, they were way better than I thought they were going to be.
And we were a step behind. I don't think our intensity matched theirs at times. I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, from the get-go, they were just they just. I mean, I don't know if Steve Kerr said something before the game. They just had like a playoff.
Well, they've been. I mean, what were they 7-1 before last? Yeah, or 6-1 before they even played us.
Yeah.
So, and they've wiped out. They without Steph Curry dismantled the Pelicans 2 times in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe
they've just been playing like this all year.
Yeah,
I watched. They had a playoff kind of intensity to this, especially defensive end immediately.
Yes. No lazy superstars. That's kind of how when you look at this. No. I mean, Steph is obviously a superstar.
Steph's so good defensively with his hands.
Yes.
The steals he had in the lane, swiping. He never fouled.
But even getting to the hoop, his wasn't all threes. I mean, he only shot 17 times.
Yeah, he was great.
9 of them were threes. But he getting to the hoop. Yeah. 7 rebounds.
A lot inside,
9 assists. Yeah, I mean, I thought he was quietly good.
Yeah.
I mean, he had a couple of his famous, almost looks like the huck over people that went in, and you're like, what? Yeah.
But it wasn't like that all game.
It wasn't a Steph Curry show. It definitely wasn't. He was a quiet, and he was 7 for 7 at the line. 27 points, so that's only 20 points off the floor. So it's not like he took over by any means.
Even Draymond, I thought, was great. I mean, the stats didn't show it. Yeah, but like he facilitated everything. Just wasn't erratic. Wasn't erratic in any way.
No.
Just played the game and let it come to him. And I thought he was great too.
We sound like fans of the Warriors,
I was just thoroughly
which
impressed.
we're not, but they were good.
I mean,
and it's good for us to see this kind of game and this kind of team. To see this kind of pressure. So I'm glad that we go through this in the beginning of the season because, like you said before, the West is hard. They're they play differently than the East.
Yeah.
And so you better get ready for some good ball movement, some scrappy defense because these guys wouldn't be 7-1 if they weren't a good team.
Mm-hmm. Other note, I had Keita outstanding.
Yes,
I thought
he was really good.
Awesome. And,
they expect a lot of him.
Yeah.
The passes in the very beginning, I was a little worried offensively. There were like 3 in a row that were like whipped at him, and weren't great passes, but he was expected to be more athletic than he was. And then he kind of got him, and he did a good job.
He has. I don't know. It's the first. He started this game and he started the Hawks game. First 2 starts. JB's been out. The last 3. And then Al the game before that, the first Hornets game.
Yeah.
So he started Cornette the first 2 against the Hornets, and then the last 2 it's been Keita. And to start the year, he was just kind of shaky. Didn't really didn't have his legs under him. And the last couple, he started to kind of get in a rhythm
and he was switched on Steph several times.
Yeah,
and
they almost wanted. They had no issue with
he
that
did a
switch.
good job. I think he has the length.
Steph had that one over him where he almost tipped it, but
and it was a high one.
Yes,
Yeah, it was really high. But I thought he handles playing the guard, and then after he did that a couple times, he was down there for the rebound. He moves so fast and so well. And again, he needs a little polishing in some ways, but he's come a long way.
Agreed,
from last year, he's come a long way.
I would say the first couple of games, the first couple of times he checked in, he was just a little erratic fouling. Yeah. He's got a little bit of Robert Williams in him.
Yeah.
Just the lob threat, the athleticism, but not always,
Well, he doesn't hit the floor all the time. He does, but his movement, he is graceful. His movement to and from guarding, the 3-point line in is really, really good.
And the other thing I'll say that I've noticed that he's starting to get is the pass. They crash inside and he passes back out to the corner. He's really his passing is coming a long way too, where he senses they're crashing in on him, get it to the corner for the three. He's done that a couple times. Yeah. And it'll be interesting to see, if he keeps getting this run, which I think he will. Al's not going to play this year. Him and Cornette will kind of swap.
Last couple games, Al has seemed a wee bit slower on certain. I don't know.
You gotta
in this type of game, when they move the ball so quickly, Keita is. Yeah. I think the answer.
Al should be playing 20 minutes a game.
Yeah, I agree. Well, he played 29 even this one.
That's what I mean.
But yeah,
he should be playing 20 minutes a game. And, hopefully Keita. The obvious detractor to that is 3-point shooting. Yeah, Keita's obviously never going to be a 3-point threat.
Yeah, and the Tillman thing makes me a little sad. I don't blame them.
Yeah,
I don't know what's happened. And it could be just certain type of games where he stands out a little bit and maybe a slower pace, maybe a bigger, but these fast pace where they move the ball quickly, he just, I don't know. He and Al, obviously Tillman more than Al, but they just can't quite keep up. And Cornette's the same way. he was a little out of it.
Sure, but he brings a rim threat.
Yes.
That Keita brings as well, but Tillman just does not.
Yes.
And that's the difference there.
Agreed.
The thing with Tillman is if you can't keep in rotation and you're not going to be a rim protector, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
And then the other part of that is I think they were really banking on him developing a 3-point shot.
Tillman.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, he's only shot a few, though.
Yeah, but he airballed one the other day. That's just I think it was one of the Hornets games. He airballed one. The first one he took. He looked so confident and just whiffed it.
Well, because early on he made a couple, and I think that's... Yeah.
So, well, that's what they want. They wanted him to be the Al where he can space the floor, and even if he's undersized, they can play the 5 out, and everyone can shoot, and that's, kind of the signature.
And Keita was a plus 13 in this game.
Yeah, he was great.
Our highest.
And if you really want to know when the game switched, we're up 7. Keita comes out. Tatum comes in.
Agreed. Yeah.
All went downhill from there. We had a ton of momentum going down, and that's kind of what killed us at the end there. They went on a run immediately.
And again, I thought Tatum overall shot well, played well for how well they were guarding him.
Correct.
He played well. He just slows it down so much, though. His style of play is
one time it was
so slow.
It was the second or third quarter where you could tell he's getting frustrated, wanting to score, and then still double teaming him and hounding him, and he kind of forced some things. Yeah. But otherwise, I thought he was patient, didn't try to force anything.
4 turnovers, and I do think that was the double team. A few times he lost it.
Yeah, he's still a click too long on some of those, holding the ball and just doesn't get it out.
If you know him and you've got a good coach, and Steve Kerr was at every practice. They've played us how many times? So of course he knows Tatum, and they defended him.
Also, the whole Olympics thing, Kerr played a little Jedi mind trick. We're just going to double team him every time so he can't. And I thought Tatum adapted to that well. He wasn't going to try to force it and score 1,000 points on Kerr, and he just passed out, made the right play.
20 shots, that's very reasonable.
Yeah,
I think.
10 for 20?
With no Jalen.
Yeah.
I thought that was very reasonable. I all in all, the only complaint for him I have is a little too slow on offense.
Agreed.
The offense does not move quickly enough at times. which gives the defense time to set up.
He's just not a fast break player.
Yeah.
Which is like, I don't know. Like, anytime Tatum's coming down for like a 3-on-2, I'm like, oh boy, it's like you're never well executed. Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, Kiddo was the only starter with positive plus minus.
Yeah. And I thought, again, I mean, Pritchard didn't shoot lights out or anything like that, but I do think, again, he brings a very good, quick feeling to the game. When he came in, was one of the times that we, started to pull away a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. He's also definitely a guy teams are like watching out for now, which kind of opens it up for other people.
Yeah,
and
agreed. And they played great defense on him as well.
Yeah,
I mean, I think they had him in their sights as well, because he was double teamed, which unfortunately for his height, he doesn't quite.
Well, that's just, you have to understand what gets us rolling. If Pritchard's scoring a lot, if Tatum's scoring a lot, that's what kind of snowballs other teams. And
And D. White had a good game.
Yeah, I thought he was great. I was actually about to say that. Yeah. He kind of picked us up scoring a lot when we were in some lulls.
And it was a little bit of a lull. I don't think we had the same type of energy, which has happened a few times now. Where
but I agree. The Warriors were definitely came out way more intense than us. But you have to, you do have to gauge it whether it's like you are the defending champions. Tatum's played 1,000 more NBA minutes than anyone over the last few years. Is it okay to, ramp up your pace as the season goes?
Yes.
And have a couple check marks where you want to try?
We don't want to be falling on the floor with the most.
You don't want to be. The Warriors, a lot of those guys have nothing to lose. You have Steph, you have Draymond. Everyone else is kind of,
I mean, their second superstar is Buddy Hield.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They have a lot of guys that want to prove themselves.
Which cracks me up. I mean, they really.
It reminds me of the Heat, where you have a lot of role players that want to prove themselves, play hard, dive on the floor, be aggressive, and that's kind of how you make a name for yourself, and that's fine. But that's not the Celtics. That's just not where we're at. Let's wait for the playoffs to be.
Yeah, and they played 11 people. And 13.
I think they played 11 people in the first quarter.
13 minutes, almost 14 minutes was the lowest number anybody played. So they really had some people coming in and out, which I do think is a detriment to us at times. We only played 8, right? Am I correct in that?
No, 9 with Walsh. Walsh got 8 minutes.
Wait, yes, 9. Okay, sorry, And it is kind of weird, and no Jaylen Brown, which I think would have made a tremendous difference because he's a little more feisty, a little more energy defensive player.
Also
which
just another guy.
And more points,
Well, we just don't have the guys otherwise, too. Could we bring in Tillman? We already talked about it. I mean, I guess you want to play him.
But the fact that Jordan Walsh is our 9th, and I think he's a good player, and he's shown some good minutes.
He's not our 9th.
He's not really our 9th.
Yeah, he's our 11th.
Yes.
Because you have Porzingis.
And exactly. So I do think you have to kind of think of that in the game last night, that this isn't exactly. And I don't think they have any injuries right now, do they?
They had one out, Melton.
He's out, but
Anthony. That was it, I think.
Yeah, the other ones are. Yep. So, interesting game, and I'm glad it's at the beginning of the season. Like, I think that's exactly what we need. They need to watch film. They need to, I think it came at a perfect time. And it was a fun game. Everybody stayed in it.
Yeah.
It was just a fun game.
I was invested even on the TV.
Yeah.
It was just fun.
It was fun. So not a horrible game for us.
I would say the most entertaining game we've had this year, for sure.
100%.
Yeah.
And just well played. Mm-hmm. Again, it wasn't a Steph Curry show. It wasn't anybody show for their team. It was just a fun, everybody worked hard. And they couldn't be more evenly spread out in their scoring, with the exception of Steph Curry at 27. 16, 9, 8, 9, 16, 10, 6, 11. I mean, pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Even Kyle Anderson.
Hit the 3 threes in a row.
Slow-mo, according to Scal.
That's what everyone calls him. Kyle Slow-mo Anderson.
Yeah. Even he looked pretty decent at times when he first came out.
Yeah.
So, they have a lot of different pieces. And he's very confident. Mm-hmm. They have a lot of kind of confident pieces. People that have been around a little while. And but anyway, fun game. Sad we lost, but we were all there. And the score does not reflect, if you didn't catch the game, it was close in the end. We had to foul, and the 6 points.
It came down to the
It was, yes. Yeah. It was a pretty close.
Wire game. We're up 7 in the fourth quarter and kind of blew it.
Yeah.
Steph Curry had some tough shots.
Yes, agreed. But anyway, fun game.
Yeah. All right, opponent of the week.
I'm going to have kind of a strange one, but
go.
Stood out in my mind in game 1 is Trey Mann.
Trey Mann,
yeah. I think game 1. Game 2, he got a little lost. He wasn't quite as good, but the game was a little different. They weren't quite as close the whole way. I don't know. It didn't seem as energetic of a game as game 1. And I thought Trey Mann, when Peyton Pritchard makes anybody look small, you got to keep an eye out for him. Sure. And Trey Mann really performed. I thought defensively he was good. Offensively he was good. I agree. Thought he was very good. So he was my surprise opponent of the week. He
just has that, like...
Oh, my God. And just his clothes.
Yeah.
He asked for the biggest jersey. Allen
Iverson look,
I think Brett and I were watching it, and that was one of the first questions was, who is the guy who looks like he's like 1970s?
70s? No, 90s.
Oh, no. He had some... Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, 90s. Yeah, I got the baggy kind of look. Yeah, you're right. 90s. You're right. You're right. But anyway, it was funny. But anyway, I liked him. He's my pick.
No, he was good. He has that, like, 6-man spark plug.
Yeah.
Like, Lou Williams, now Peyton Pritchard. Yeah. Kind of that potential of a guy.
Yeah, and I thought his defense was good for him not being that big a guy. He was feisty.
Yep, for sure. I had on the worst team that we saw this week, Jalen Johnson.
Agreed. He was good.
Hawks.
Yeah.
I thought he was great. He was the one guy that, I mean, Trey
without him, it would have been
They're down double digits. Trae Young comes out, and he just has the ball in his hands and was just getting anything he wanted at the rim. Just driving. He scored like 4 times in a row and got it, I think, either tied or, they were within a couple. And he was their one thing that I thought.
Offensively was, Yes,
it was good. He's big, averaging 18 a game, 18 rebounds, 10 points this year. 44% shooting.
Yeah, he had 11 rebounds. 4 assists.
An otherwise team that was not very good.
Yeah, he was their high rebounder.
I thought he was the bright spot.
Yeah.
And,
No, I agree. He was good.
He will be interesting to see.
He was the one that kept them from being completely embarrassed.
At the very beginning, it looked like we were going to blow it open. He kind of brought it back, and then, quieted down. We ended up stopping him anyway. But
22. He's only 22 years old. I agree. He played well. That was...
Couple more things on the agenda today. First on my list, Jaylen Brown. Any concern? Hip. Said he's been dealing it with since training camp. 3rd game missed. Said it's day to day. Could be back, by the next game, but...
He's a tough one only because of how he plays. He's so physical. He's like a little, a little football in him. So that is a tough, you obviously want to preserve him enough to get to the end of the year without anything going on. So
once, 3 games, fine, you have a little hip thing. But once I heard, it's been bothering since training camp, I was like, okay, well, that's, not good. It's still it was bothering you in training camp, and now you're missing 3 games after playing.
And I haven't any news on him or anything.
Missoula said before the game, before the Warriors game, he's day to day. So hopefully he'll be back soon. But not ideal. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
I agree. Not ideal long term without Porzingis as well.
Yeah,
because really, then you're dealing with a team. And as much as I love Drew and with D White up there, and those are our 2 superstars, and they draw a lot of attention and a lot of defense that open up D White
and blessing in disguise, all those other guys get more time and experience. If he can come back healthy, it's just you just hope this is not a all season nagging and he's going into the playoffs still worried about his hip kind of thing.
But it is kind of a weird season too, because we're playing the Nets next, who have played some good games. Like they've won a few. Like it's against some decent teams, right? I'm pretty sure when I was looking, I was.
All I've heard is day to day hip. He had an MRI, but not the things you want to be hearing exactly 9 games into the year.
too early for anything.
Yeah. But just something to monitor. Hopefully he'll be back. Hopefully, we need things to talk about 2 weeks into the season, so hopefully this will be a quick talking point and he'll be back soon, but I don't know, something to keep an eye on.
We definitely need him back.
Yes.
Defensively.
Even last game, I think he would have helped just intensity-wise.
Agreed. I think it would have been a very different game with him in there.
Agreed.
Yeah.
All right, next thing, around the NBA, just other team stuff we want to discuss. First one that I had is what is going on with the East?
Yes, after the first two teams, that's what I'm saying.
Look at the standings right now.
So
Cavs are 9-0, Celtics 7-2, and then you have Pacers 4-4, Nets 4-4, Hawks 4-5, Knicks 3-4.
How the Hawks are 4-5? What is going on? Yeah.
Well, they're 4-5. That's not. It looks good.
Still,
they're
it's like. So there's
East,
two ways to look at it, right? With the exception of they beat the Knicks. Hawks beat the Knicks.
Yeah.
I mean, that's supposed to be one of the top East teams.
Well, that's
right?
what I mean.
It's like, what is going on?
Let's get to the bottom, because the bottom two teams, 1-6 apiece, are the Bucks and 76ers. 1-6 each. I know, okay, the 76ers, haven't had Embiid, and Paul George just came back.
But the Bucks.
The Bucks, Giannis missed a game, I think, but they're in trouble. I mean,
yeah. It is early, but I'd be trading. I'd be getting somebody and find the Bucks if they want to even have their eyes on a prize.
Well, I'll tell you, the headline on ESPN today was Bucks not exploring Giannis trade at this time. It's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Even if you're not trading him, the fact that that's a headline and a thought is not good. Not good at all.
Well, yeah. I guess you want to pick and you want to rebuild.
No, you can't trade Giannis. That's crazy.
I'm with you.
Unless
I'd be
he wants out,
seeking out some talent is what I'd be doing.
I mean, well, then you're trading Damian Lillard. You're not keeping Lillard without Giannis. And then
I would trade Damian Lillard.
Before Giannis, obviously.
I'd take a multitude of mid-level good defender people, similar to the idea of the Warriors or the Heat, right? Because really, that's all you.
He would be the place. They wanted Lillard, and maybe it's too late. Maybe they said, "Well, we don't want him now. He hasn't played well," but they wanted him before.
I mean, I thought he was shooting okay. I mean, I think his stats were okay last I looked, but it's just the two of them.
But it's also
there was nobody else.
How old is Damian Lillard?
34, 35?
34.
Yeah.
So unless you're... the only way I would want to trade for him is if you're thinking this makes us an immediate contender.
Yeah.
And, if...
With the almost defensive liability, because he's not great.
No, he's not. Yeah, but if the Heat were to trade, Hero and Robinson and a pick for Lillard, you're not a contender.
No.
You're not a contender still.
Agreed.
Jimmy Butler, Lillard, and that's not a bad team, but I don't think that's really moving the needle, especially.
I don't know, but I think Drew's happy with.
I think
I think this year is solidified. He is happy where he is, and if he's not, he should be.
Yes, 100% agreed. He is. He is the winner of all of this. Carousel of guards, I guess. And then Philly's the other one. I mean, talk about another season that might just implode. And did you see Shove the reporter? He suspended 3 games.
Yeah.
Apparently talked about his son and brother who died in like a article he'd written, and Embiid was all upset, and who knows? Not good. Just another situation. Both these teams. If you had one of the, if I had to give you one of these teams, that was really the season was really going to go south this year, which one would you pick?
Sixers.
You'd go Sixers.
Yeah, I mean Paul George. What? Yeah. As much as you may have liked him in the past, I mean, look at the Clippers. Like, they've really gone nowhere at this point. And he was on there with Kawhi and Harding, and they still couldn't make it work.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's
they were all kind of hurt.
Spectacular.
But these guys are all hurt too.
Yeah.
And now Maxi's out at least a couple of weeks, they said.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm sure he's taking on the brunt of whatever at this point.
Sure, but that's just more. Yeah, it's hard to say. Because the Bucks.
Where did I have the Sixers? Oh, fourth. Yeah, this whole season is like, maybe we should just tear this up.
Yeah.
Tear the whole thing up. Because it's a weird,
I mean, the thing you could argue for the Sixers, though, is at least their, stars haven't played and they're 1-6.
Yeah.
The Bucks, it's like
their stars.
Middleton's been out, but Giannis has been in, Dame's been in, and they still are 1-6. So
yeah.
But I agree with you, Philly. I just think Embiid talking about, he had another weird interview where he's talking about I've given too much for the city to people question if I want to be on the court. Just like weird.
Yeah.
Off the court stuff now, and he's not playing. And
yeah.
The thing that, again, I've said this a million times, that gets me is he played in the Olympics. It's unbelievable.
I 100%. You shouldn't be playing in the Olympics if you are hurt. If you are
load management.
Yeah. And I will give him credit.
Fine, you're hurt. But you can't play in the Olympics.
He was on all kinds of medication, and he did at least try and play in the playoffs. So you got to give him credit for that. But as a team, I mean, you take the summer off.
Yeah, you can't play in the Olympics if you're going to miss the beginning of the season. Yeah. It's like, it's craziness. And it's not like this is a new thing with him.
No.
It's been, I think this camera's off again. Darn it.
Battery die?
Stupid camera. I don't know, maybe. Technical difficulties again, people. New camera, new setup, but we'll get it figured out. We'll get it all ironed out in the next couple weeks here. But yeah, no, those two teams.
Our Pistons, they're 3-6. They're going up.
Ahead of both of these teams.
Yeah. The Pistons are climbing. They should pass the Wizards.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah, and Banchero is out for Magic. Do we know how long? They're not where they should be. Yeah, they're not where they should be. With him, they would definitely be above the Hornets.
I mean, it's just insane that there's two teams in the East with winning records right now.
I know. That's yeah. And it's weird because a couple reasons, right? Are they? You could say they're weak, but I think some sort of iffy teams. Like look at how we played the Pacers. I mean, the Pacers were good. Yeah. They weren't bad.
Lakers and Clippers are 4-4 in the West. They're 10-11. They would be the 3-4 in the East.
Yeah.
It'll even out, I think, as the season goes on, obviously, but. A rough
good to see the Grizzlies.
Yeah, beat the Lakers last night.
Yeah, good to see the Grizzlies up there.
Without Anthony Davis, but still.
Yeah. And the Timberwolves, where were they? Oh, gosh. And the Nuggets. They're climbing. Nuggets are climbing. They'll climb.
They started weak, and now they're starting to get to where they're ramping up at least.
But the Kings, 5-3. Where did I have that?
They could be good, too. Yeah, they got DeRozan and...
Yeah, I love DeRozan. Yeah.
It'd be interesting.
I like DeRozan. He's good.
All right, last things last. Coming up.
Wait. I have to say. The Rockets.
The Ime-led Rockets.
The Rockets. 5-3. Fourth place in the West.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's going to be fun. I think it's going to be a fun season because nobody would predict the Warriors would be 7-1 at the beginning of the season.
No.
Nobody would predict that. So, yeah, very interesting. Going to be a fun season.
Yep. It's young. It is a young season, but already interesting. All right, so coming up for the Celtics, tomorrow we are home for the Nets.
They're 4-4.
Too,
I am. I'm going to this one.
Back in the Garden.
And they're 4-4. I mean, they're not. Yeah.
Who knows?
They only lost to the Nuggets by 5.
East is a little bit. Yeah, the East is just a little wonky right now. I don't know. It's
easily beat the Bucks, which that's not saying a lot.
The Cam Thomas
beat the Grizzlies. They beat the Grizzlies by 13.
You see Ben Simmons in person playing, suiting up.
How's he been doing?
That's a good question. Let's see how young Ben Simmons is doing. 5 points a game. He's played 6 of the 8 games. 5.6 rebounds. 6 assists. Not bad. 24 minutes a game. He's playing. That's a step up.
Let's have some decent players.
Yeah.
I mean,
they'll be an interesting.
Yeah.
An interesting team.
I don't think contenders. But they have some. I'm a Nick Claxton fan.
Yeah.
I like Nick Claxton. Anyway, Nets tomorrow night.
And then we travel to Milwaukee to play the Bucks Sunday. I think the Bucks are going to be up for that one.
I think we predicted that would be our first loss.
We did.
Wrong.
2 already. Yeah.
We were wrong.
Yes. We did say that was the first loss, but
yeah, because again, underestimated the Warriors.
Yeah. Maybe overestimated the Bucks. Who knows? I think the Bucks are going to come out strong now.
Yes.
They're really going to try to beat us because that's.
It'll be interesting seeing Kada with.
On Giannis?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't love that.
A little more energy.
I don't love that, but.
Yeah.
And then Tuesday, back home for our favorite team, the Hawks.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are our next 3, and then so those will be for next week's pod.
All right.
I'm interested to see Ben Simmons now. See if he plays.
Yeah.
See what's going on with 24 Ben Simmons. 24 minutes a game.
That's good.
It's more than he's played in a long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is his last season, right, in contract. So I'm sure he's gonna
his agent was like, you gotta
put a little effort in here, or you're really
or you're gonna be.
Do you want to go home?
Yeah.
After this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for this week's Shamrock Talk. As usual, you can find us everywhere, worldwide, all platforms at Shamrock Talk Pod on Twitter, Shamrock Talk on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. All the places. Wherever you find us, we'll be there. We'll be posting weekly episodes to keep up with all your Celtics needs.
Absolutely.
And that's it. We'll see you next week. Go Celtics.
Go Celtics.